Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Shadow of the Sun Show. Welcome to your Tuesday edition of Second Breakfast. Hope you guys out there in TV land are having a great day. I know I am. I'm doing a little wet blending on some weird alien monstrosities from Dungeons and Lasers. Doing a little bit of touch ups and final passes on some minis that have been sitting on my desk for forever. Oh, boy. But I managed to put some stuff away yesterday into the done boxes and just whittling away at it slowly but surely, seeing what we can get done off the table, so I can bring out some new projects. I did also finish a few of the Dungeons and Lasers sewer pieces. They're clear plastic with kind of like walkways and water uh, in different configurations so that you can mix and match, build up different things. Tennessee Tabletop Taverns, how you doing? Welcome to the show. I don't recognize the name, but uh, everybody's welcome here, provided to keep the pants on and want to talk about games, miniatures, painting, movies, TV shows, that sort of, the comic books, whatever. What's on your mind, Tennessee? I have got Jackie's final graduation thing is tomorrow night. Looking forward to that. I guess she's not giving a speech, but that's okay. Um, Still, we got the little sign. Okay, Death Angel. All right, sorry, dude. Because I could have swore you had another name in addition to that, but maybe I'm thinking of somebody else. For a second there, I thought you were Country Fried Minis, which is someone I need to reach out to again. We were supposed to do something together, and time gets away from you and things like that. There's a couple other people I need to actually call on the phone and have some conversations with, check up on them. Speaking of which, I haven't heard from RPG Grandma in a while. If you guys hear from her or talk to her regularly, let her know that I've been thinking about her, hoping she's okay. She's missed a couple of events. We were supposed to hang out together with Emperor's Choice and last Saturday's OGGM's game, but Mike couldn't be there. I think Jen and I would have been the only ones there. And when half the party's gone, it's just not right. You can make it work, but it seems just not the same. Yeah, we had our Hyperborea game last night, and I fly out to North Texas tomorrow. I am jealous. I wish I could go to that one as well as uh, the New York Con, but I just, with Jackie's graduation, I can't miss that, and I'm not sure what we're doing. I know I'm so jealous, dude. Uh, Give George and Dave a punch in the arm for me. I know you'll do it. Just nothing. You tell them Shadow. Really, really. If it were anything else, I'd probably be at both cons, to be honest. So many people that I know on the internet, but I've never shook hands with, and I got to do that sooner than later. But I talked to George and Dave Sunday, and I know stuff about the con that you guys don't know. So neener, neener, neener. And if I'm lucky, maybe I'll get a little care package, a little something, something, because your boy has been with them since. Well, I've been with Arduin since '79, and it literally was the best thing to ever happen to Dungeons and Dragons, if you ask me. I think it really lit a fire under Gygax's ass. Yeah, yeah, you too, Death Angel. Janet, what a surprise! How you doing? You at the gym? You doing your morning routine? I'm doing mine. Well, I did it already. 3 slices of bacon, and a glass of water. Yeah. Hey, what's up, Dean? I believe Jeanette and I are in one of their games. I don't know who this Jeanette is, um, but okay. Uh, what's up, Dean? Believe it or not, I made my dry brush pad, and I haven't used it once. I still been using napkins like a doofus, uh, mostly because I'm doing really tiny dry brushing, and I don't want to ruin this brush, so it's very light stuff. This morning I got a wild hair and decided to do some wet blending, or at least try my hand at it on some things that I want this purple to ooze into green and green into purple. So we'll see how that works out. But other than that, I'm looking at my tabletop, and there's some minis here uh, that are kind of technically done. Some minis that need to be. Hey, what's up, Sean? How you doing? You know we're. Oh, we can always talk to you, D, if you want, man. As a matter of fact, I like to pick your brain about something. I've been, you know, noodling around. I'm eating lunch. Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't do lunch anymore. Well, I kind of maybe like a half a sandwich, but I'm trying to get lose a couple pounds. So I like knocked out a whole bunch of crap out of my diet. Mostly food. I find that's the biggest help. If you just knock just food and just like starve for a week, that really does something. Of course, I'm kidding, folks. I can actually. Uh, I have to eat like a little tiny something or something, or I like get very grouchy and yeah. But you know what? I'll put the link out there here since it's easier, and we seem to be over that spat of spate. I don't know of weirdos wanting to do weird crap on the live stream. You have a work meeting in about 20 minutes. No worries, man. Um, but yeah, like I said, there's like a half a dozen or so miniatures on this table that they just need a home. I don't know where to put them. Actually, I know where to put these guys. I will take these guys and put them in the adios pile. Actually, I'm going to give them a once over with the spectacles. Make sure there isn't something I can't do or forgot to do or missed out on doing. Those look really good. They're, I'll show you guys in just a second. They're like Cthulhu faced gunslingers. Get the card, get the card. Always got to have the card. Oh, jeez. Finger's not working today. Okay, there you go. They're like Cthulhu face cowboys who just robbed a bank. I am really sorry to hear that, Sean. That is insanely ridiculous. Um, that shouldn't be a thing in our. I wanted to pick your brain about high level characters and it was specifically AD&D characters, and also, folks, I've been watching a lot of videos on like saving money, even though I spend like a drunken sailor, penny pinching and depression era tactics and 40s and 50s tactics on how people lived and how people saved money. And if you like, I can throw some of those videos on my Discord, or you can just go look them up. Uh, money saving tips from from the depression. If you start there and move forward, you'll find all kinds of things that you can do that will save you money, because your grocery bill, like I always say, is the only bill you're in complete control of. You could choose to just not eat, and your grocery bill goes down to zero. Imagine that. Or you can, go the college route and have nothing but ramen until you graduate. Or you can, uh, overeat and buy all kinds of junk food and things like that. Even I find making your own junk food is way better. This is survive past mid level. That's sad. See, that's what got me into the game. Is my friends invited me over to play some D&D for the first time, and they showed me the player's handbook. Uh, 2 a.m. I'm painting Space Marines. What's up, James L? You know where the link is as well. And they showed me the player's handbook, and I went, priest, cleric, fighter, and then I saw ranger. And I'm like, ranger, Aragorn. And so I started reading, and I got to the point, about building. Hold on a second, Janet. I need to address that comment. And I started learning about how rangers and other characters could build their domicile, their castle, their keep, their tower, what have you. And I'm like, oh wow, that's awesome. I want to do that. I want to do that specifically. How do I get to do that? And of course, that very self same ranger died in the first game, only to spawn another ranger and another ranger after that, until I was finally able to, I think my third or fourth ranger, managed to conquer a big chunk of Greyhawk, um, and do all the high level things. Okay, Janet, you can grow your own bean sprouts right in your arm, and they are great on sandwiches and salads. Okay, how do you grow anything in your arm other than something you don't want in your arm? Don't eat ramen. Eat steel cut oats, beans, brown rice, vegetables. I heard oats were actually really, really bad for you, like really, really fattening. I know when I was eating like granola, uh, I got this one box of granola back in the day, and like in 1 week, I freaking gained like 10 pounds. Painting with makeup sponges, either the armor will be weathered and chipped, or they will look like drag marines. Your own home. Okay, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Okay. Thanks, guys. Hey, what's up, Hungar? I have some. I just threw them on the floor. Dang it, because they were in my way, and I was like, I'm not using these today. I'll throw them on the shelf down here, and here we go. I got some of these sponges. Um, I think I actually need to take the tweezers to them and pull out more little chunks so they're even more varied, because they don't seem to have enough broken up areas. But I have no terrain that requires that right now. Aragorn, never heard of him. Never heard of her. Conan the Barbarian. Uh, okay, James L. To be honest, I'm trying to cut out like almost everything but meat and eggs and more meat. And occasional onions and tomatoes and stuff like that. But for the most part, like breads and cereals and pastries and chips and cookies and all the stuff that makes life, worth living. Well, some of the things that make life worth living. Trying to cut all that out, and as soon as this graduation thing is over and done with next week, I'll be doing some walking. Hopefully, I can get to my swap meet this weekend. Uh, it's a big open air, dusty area. It's like a gigantic parking lot, but there's permanent structures and permanent like sheds that you can rent, so that you can just keep your stuff there. And I'm thinking that can't be safe. I mean, just if I were a burglary type of guy, I would just hop that fence and just raid certain places and be the bad guy. But I guess it works out for them. Maybe they've got a night watchman or something. Yeah, I've got some of those sponge brushes too. Again, never use them. I also bought some of those do-it-yourself paint markers. Haven't touched them. I did buy a big bundle of 000, 00, and aught one brushes for painting because that's what I use the most of. But I was inspecting these minis to make sure they're all good. Okay, he looks good. He was really good actually. I don't know how I did that. It must have been somebody else. Maybe Jackie was in here painting. Yeah, that looks good. He's got a, interesting. I didn't notice that. But you know what? I kind of like it. It's dirty. It's grungy. That works. One of these cowboy tentacle dudes, one of Jackie's players, is actually using as his player character. I find that highly amusing. But then one of his characters is this guy, this jellyfish looking dude. Not really a jellyfish. That's what he is. He's a jellyfish. I don't know. What do you think? Did the wet blending turn out okay? The purple on the blue. I'm calling it a day. I'm tired of painting these squiggly guys. Uh, this one's okay. A little grungier than the rest, but that's not good. But who's going to notice? Okay, all right. These they're actually, I think, the Scafford Gang or something like that. From Shadows of Brimstone, that's what the tentacle guys are. I love that game. I wish I had the ability to set up a table and just leave it out and keep playing like I did back when Jackie was a little munchkin. What little bread I eat is sprouted grain bread from the freezer section. I can't get into any of those seed breads. Just can't do it. Ordered some minis from my friendly local game store, and Amazon FLGS was way more careful with packing. Worth it for the few extra bucks. I got something. Oh, I got some more Dungeons and Lasers in the mail yesterday. I also picked up another copy of one of the John Carter miniature war game manuals from 1977 or 78. Got it for a song, 25 bucks. Normally during the holiday season, that thing will sell for 125 to $200 depending on condition and whether or not it's an auction. Because auctions are for suckers. And I got it for 25 bucks, and I'm going to compare it to the one I have and file that away because for me it's just like a savings bond. I paid 25 bucks for it. Won't sell it for less than 75 if that day ever comes. And if Jackie ever needs to, he might have $100 book that he can just slap in an envelope, psh, off it goes, and you know that's a bill paid or something like that. Just that, like I always say, there is going to come a point where all our collectibles and all our saved books and minis and stuff like that will just be absolutely freaking worthless because everybody will be doing this, whether they like it or not. I got Cultists and Conquistadors, which surely be its own game by now. Could be. I'm going to shut the door because the dog is being a jerk. I got him a new. Um, oh my god! You saw the door open, right? That was him busting his way back in because he heard the door close, and then the laughing caused him to run right back out. He's like, "Screw you! I'm out of here." You just hear and see the grumpiness on his face, because I called him out and made fun of him for having to run back in here because the door was closing, and he, you know, as much as he hates me for teasing him and stuff, he can't bear to be away from me for too long. Let's see how long it takes him to come back in with the door closed. You see the door kind of, yeah, it'll pop open any minute. But I think it's funny. I got him a new hair trimmer, and he's okay with it a little, but after a minute or two, he's like, "Oh, hey, I know what's going on here. I'm out of here." Um, so I'm gonna make him bald by the end of the summer. Oh, you don't sell it. Don't sell it. Don't sell it. Oh man. I for folks who don't know, I just recently watched Twin Peaks for the very first time in my life. Always wanted to. Watched it, enjoyed 99% of it, except the ending of both runs. The endings were like, what the hell? What is this shit? My dog Lily likes to open the back door to let herself out and Thor in, but she never shuts it for some reason. Yeah, my dogs. Well, there are dogs that can do that, but you really have to train them really hard. We didn't do that. He can open the door to get out with his nose, just nudging it, pushing it, little till he can get his paw in there and push it open, right? Uh, but then when we close the door, even if I leave it cracked just a little bit, mind blown. He can't open it. He can't figure it out because it's reversed. Just like if you've ever done this and you put like a blanket on the floor and leave it there for a while, and then when the dog's not looking, hide under the blanket. They'll never be able to find you unless they're a little bit smarter than the average dog. It's hysterical. And if I've got a throw on the couch, and I'll sit on the couch, and I'll cover up with it and call him, and he's like, "Where'd you go? Where'd you go?" And then he'll figure it out, uh, and you know, like you can't have not being able to see his 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 daddy or whatever. I don't know what he thinks of me, just the guy that he always hangs out with that gives him a hard time. It's worth quite a bit, but not much of a game, to be quite honest. I would still. I'll probably find one out here. They could do Agent Cooper brand coffee. Don't tempt me, man. We had right after Return of the Devil. Right after I watched it, I got a cherry pie uh, to watch like the last couple of episodes, and I was eating cherry pie, and I'm like, ah, you know what would make this better? Nice freaking cup of coffee, but none to be had. You're in season 4 now. Uh, Season 3 and 4 are the absolute best of Babylon 5. Season 3 is pretty damn good. Season 2 and season 1 is a chore. Season 5 is sucks. It's literally like, the whole story is like Lord of the Rings in space, vaguely. Um, in not in like events, but in what they're trying to accomplish. And season 5 is the scouring of the Shire part of the Lord of the Rings. It didn't need to be there. There was no need for that whole winding down. It just didn't. It wasn't necessary. Probably would have been better if they didn't do it at all. But when are we going to get you on for an episode? I think you have a game on Wednesday, though, don't you? No, I don't actually. I've been meaning to mention that. I used to have a game on Wednesdays. Did I have a game on Wednesdays? Or was Wednesday my one and only night off? I don't remember. It's only been like a month and a half since I changed my schedule, and it's so far in the past now that I don't even think about it. But I do have Wednesdays off. Unfortunately, tomorrow's graduation. I don't know what time the ceremony is. If I get home and you're on, I will pop in and say hey. I haven't watched Babylon 5 in a while though, like a decade. I can pretty much remember it very well, but it was a hell of a story. But J. Michael has lost his ever loving mind. which is a shame because he did a lot of good stuff. Didn't he write some Spider-Man? Or am I thinking of someone else? And just a bunch of, you know, stuff all over the place. And Babylon 5, was my first introduction to him and his work. And, when it came on, when Babylon 5 first came on the air, it was like the hottest freaking thing of all time. Holy moly. New 40K starter is around $300 here. Wow. Um, yeah, I don't know what to tell you, man. I bought a bunch of Kill Team stuff. Never going to touch it. Have no interest in it. I just bought it for the investment or the off chance that Jackie might want to play it, but that never happened. And now, every time I look at that stuff, it just goes up and up and up in value. I'm gonna, probably triple my money on that investment. He wrote a bunch of He-Man episodes back in the day too. Really, I was not a He-Man guy. That was like, I think I was in college or something like that when that happened, and just not. It was just not my thing. I gotta tell you guys, man, this Sigmarite mausoleum, I gotta put it away, man. I keep looking at it like I could just put together some of the buildings and primer them, and then wait till September. As soon as I break out the clippers on it, it'll be all over. I think that might be the price threshold where a lot of people tap out. Yeah, I there's so much a fella can do with that kind of money. I remember that, which is really weird, but it's cool, because James, it's like sci-fi fantasy, and it's kind of a gateway. My generation had things like Star Trek and Thunder the Barbarian, Johnny Quest, stuff like that, to get us into science fiction and fantasy and things like that. And it's nice to know that they kept trying to bring people into those genres and into that whole world of fiction, if you will. Crap, I should have put this in there. Let me know if you have a favorite episode, and season 4 will get you on. We just opened up the calendar for that rotating tail gunner seat on the street. Tail gunner, huh? Okay, I can do that. I'll go break out my box sets and see if there was something in season 4 that really really grabbed me. I think the episode with when Sheridan jumps out the window is like one of my favorites. He turns Skeletor into a ball. That reminds me of our ceramic class. How many kids tried to get away with, and some did. Take care, man. I will see you maybe tomorrow night. Maybe I imagined that. Maybe you imagined that. We had so many guys trying to get away with in our ceramics class making something that they could turn into a bong. Our teacher was pretty hip to that, but there were a few folks that figured ways, mostly by making something and then uh, drilling holes in the proper places without making it obvious that they were going to drill those holes out. To me, it always seemed like you were just going to risk the whole thing just shattering. But I was never a bong guy to begin with. That was just like, that's a lot of work. I could just grab a beer, couldn't I? Uh, Instead of all that work, and it was smelly and gross. I used to know this guy who would like never clean his, just never, just like once a couple of months maybe. And I'm just like, oh, dude, you're gonna have cancer in a year. Still kicking though. It's not a bong when you make it in art class. It's a vase. Yeah. This ceramic piece is actually a biting commentary on urban dislocation and addiction. Yeah. Oh man. I think they're going to find, or maybe they don't care, in the near future that um, that whole legalizing thing was a really bad idea. Oh no, James, no. I, it's already bad enough when we think of elves and half elves. We instinctively smell patchouli. Um, leave our poor little halfling cousins alone, man. They don't deserve that rap. I always like picture them smelling more like Swisher Sweets or something like that. If you remember those. Okay, so technically, I've knocked out 5 miniatures while hanging out with you guys. Didn't lay a lick of paint on them, but done. They can go away, and let's see what else we can move off the table. That needs a green. Excuse me, folks. This needs a green wash. These they need something. You ever have those minis that you won't leave them alone because there's something not right, and you can't figure it out, and you figure more washes, more dry brushing. Eventually, it'll come out right. To be fair, putting a door on the side of a hill is quite resourceful. Absolutely, until the heavy rains come. That that was always my first thought. It's like, what happens when it rains? You know, surely they're going to drown, right? But I'm going to try it. I think it's going to fail, but I'm going to try it. And I'm going to take this and try to turn it into a wash. It's Data System Glow. For the base, I get this really nice bluish turquoise teal color as a base, trying to get that sort of blue shadowy effect, but I also want a little bit of green to make it look like there's some moss or something going on there. And this paint water is damn near black, but I'm going to mix it in with the neon green and see if I can't make it work. Yeah, it didn't dull it down too much, and I'm trying to make a shadowy effect anyway. So, oh, that's lovely. And of course, I added one drop too many, and so now I've got a palette full of this green water and nowhere to use it. Let's see if we can't. I'm really bad about that. I almost obsessively so. If I put too much paint on my whatever it is I'm paint, my palette, uh, I'll either scoop it back up and put it back in the bottle, or I will go over every miniature on my table looking for a way to use it. Okay, we can go here. This will definitely work. That's doing the trick. It's just slurping it up. I've got this base on this mini of this old alternative armies space marine knockoff. Hey, what's up, Bloodworth? The link's in the chat. You want to come hang out? And this sandy base that I put here is just sponging it up. Just it's not quite neon anymore, but I can go back over that with a dry brush of the same color. Yeah, that works. And do we want to do it on this one? No, we do not want to do it on that one because that's going to not quite do what I wanted to do there. Uh, Go back over this one because as it's drying, it's disappearing. It's funny how paint, like especially watery paint, uh, turns invisible when it dries. I really hate that. James says, it's always good to have a spare mini in some unrelated project to soak up the leftover paint. Knew a guy who used to paint his 6 millimeter with leftovers. Yeah, yeah. Um, I don't waste anything because, last month, where I normally get a lot of my paint, uh, they close up shop for like 2 weeks. And of course, the whole time I'm like, oh, I'm running out of this, I'm running out of that. I wasn't running out of shit, but I, you know, kind of thought I was. So I kept going through my paints to see what I was going to order from Gnomish Bazaar as soon as they got home from back from surgery. And no sooner did that happen than I lost my ATM card because I am a freaking retard. I'm always really good about it, putting things right back where they belong. Hey, what's up, George? How you feeling, man? Feeling better? You're gonna be free Saturday. If not, no worries. Just rest up. And speaking of, surgeries, get well soon, man. And James, I have absolutely no desire to paint anything in 6 millimeter right now. You can't see it, but up there I've got. Is it there? Yeah, it's behind this balloon. I've got the Robotech Kickstarter Palladium Games war game, Robotech. Destroids, Veritex, just all kinds of crap. Just a ton of models in there. They're all in 6 mil. And it's mostly just Veritex and Destroids and things like that. And I opened up the box and I opened it up and I looked at it and went, and mind you, this was like 5 years ago, easy. I'm like, I'm never going to be able to put this together. I mean, every piece looked like you needed a freaking microscope to glue on these tiny little guns and antennas and stuff that were no bigger than needles. And I would love to play the game. It looks like a lot of fun. I loved Robotech growing up as a kid. I read all 18 of the novels. I have almost all of the Palladium role playing game books. Played that. I never played any of the video games. Had all the videos, of course, even the Sentinels and all that stuff, and a bunch of art books and things like that. At one time, I had handed out the first Robotech book, the first paperback, the first in the series, that is, to like over a dozen different people, and just got them into reading the whole series. Had this like this group of Robotech friends and fans, uh, even people who you would think they're like full on just fantasy guys. They still read them, the whole 18 book series, and then I got out of it for a while. I eBayed it all off, and realizing that was a huge mistake, I managed to pick up the first 6 books for like $12 on eBay. Oh, I'm backstage for just about 20. I don't see you in the backstage area, Bloodworth. Yeah, yeah. It was fun. There were some things about Robotech that kind of but when you're doing something like that, and you're actively trying to appeal to as many audiences as possible, you're going to end up with things like Min May, and it's kind of part of that era to begin with. But everything else, the whole thing, and trust me, the paperback books were way better than the cartoons, way better. So many interesting, more adult, not full on, that kind of adult things, but more mature things. Oh, dang it! Sorry, Bloodworth. They threw up an ad like right as I was clicking on to let you in.
Hey,
Like weird as freaking
no,
timing. And
I was in the wrong one. I was probably in the one previously from
oh,
yesterday
okay.
or
How
whatever.
you doing, man?
Good.
Ready for tonight?
Yep.
Cool.
Yep.
Cool.
Tim is making up his new character, or he will be.
Okay. Yeah,
So,
Timmy.
yeah, he's going to go with either a dwarf or I suggested an elf. And you guys are going to go, you're not going to go all the way back to town. I'm going to have you hook up with some allies in the forest there, and you're going to delve right back in again.
Cool. Save some time. That's always a good idea.
Yeah. I don't want to waste any more time. It's looking like this campaign's going to wrap up by July. And so maybe another 4 sessions, and
No,
we should be
really.
able to wrap it up.
I was hoping for longer, but
Yeah, it's
shit
just
happens.
my July is messed up with with working, and then
Mm.
with vacation and everything. So it was going to punch
Mm.
holes in it.
Gotcha. So you're going to Central New York next week?
Yeah, this week I have AutoCon, small con in my
Okay.
town, and then next week I just got an oil change. I always have to get an oil change just before conventions. I don't know
Mm.
why.
No, better safe than sorry.
Yeah. My car is a very finicky car, so you literally cannot go. You can't go like 30 miles over its due date. Otherwise, I start getting the flashing red engine light. It's like,
Well, hello. Well, do me a favor when you get to Central New York.
mhm,
Go introduce yourself to George and Dave at the Arduin freaking
mhm.
booth and be prepared to be blown away. The stuff that they have is out of this freaking world. There's so many. If I was there, if I could go to that particular con, I would drop so much freaking money. Just an insane, obscene amount of money at their booth first. Um, they're gonna have some crystal dice that I'm just like, well, I don't have any of those. The
Right.
minis, the books, all the books I have. I have
Yeah.
books going back to 1977, 78.
Right.
But the other stuff and uh, the games they're going to be running, I hear, are top notch as well. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm really jealous of the people that get to go.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if that's exactly my vibe. That game system. You know, I'm
Well,
not.
okay. First off, the game system doesn't exist.
Well.
It's all supplemental material. It was all supplemental material. Uh, for the most part, their actual game is we're working on it right now behind the scenes. It'll be out like next year, and it does things that no other game does. And it started, things that
Mhm,
no other game. It's the origin of the critical hit, the fumble, all come from
mhm,
them. It was the first game with mana points. It was the first game with um, just a slew of other things come from it.
hmm.
Uh,
I'll take a
it's
look at it.
it's there's only like two things older than it in fantasy. Tunnels and Trolls might be one of them, and Dungeons and Dragons.
Right.
And if you're like me, a student of the history of
Hmm.
the hobby, you know, wouldn't hurt to at least have a working familiarity with it.
Yeah. It's not. Is it Gonzo? Is it like a Gonzo setting?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It was like the first.
Yeah. The only real Gonzo setting I get into, to be honest, is Troll, because that is just so over the top Gonzo that it's believable. If that makes any sense.
Venger is a huge fan of Arduin,
Hmm.
uh, and he's another one of those guys I got to meet. And be in his game. Being in one of his games is in the top 5 on my bucket list.
Hmm.
Just getting. the opportunity to get out of California for conventions is so hard, man.
Right.
So hard.
Um,
I used to go to conventions like all the time back in the 80s and 90s.
yeah, if ever I got out that far, to Madison, Wisconsin, or just in that general area,
Hmm.
um, yeah, VentureCon would certainly be one I'd want to go to. Um, I wouldn't go to a Gen Con again.
Right.
I wouldn't want, too big. I'm not even sure about Gary Con. It was too expensive. Gary Con is just way too expensive.
Yeah. Uh,
But as far as buying stuff, when I go to CNY, I'm going to be bringing a bunch of stuff that I'm, looking to sell off, you know, and then I'm going to do or trade, and then I'll see what I can pick up there. I'm definitely going to pick up a few things from Joe Block, his Greyhawk stuff,
yeah.
a couple of them. He has a thing on Greyhawk campaigns. I'm going to definitely check that out. I want to check out his stuff on. He has a whole book on Greyhawk orcs, so to see how he handles an entire book on just orcs. That'll be interesting. And
Yeah.
and then he has a separate book, which I'm more likely to get, is the clerics in Greyhawk. And then not just Greyhawk the city, but the whole setting,
Yeah.
and see how he handles that. So I want to build up my Greyhawk collection from him, and it's not really. I mean, I'll take a look at some of the Ducato stuff. Maybe he'll have an already painted, large size mini or something that I'll be like, all right, I'll pick that up too, just to have something really cool to put on to put
Mantle.
on behind me on the mantle there, basically. Um, but yeah, I'm running more than I'm playing, which is kind of unfortunate. I have to stop doing that. I'm going to start getting to the point where if I'm going to a 2.5 day convention like this one is, I'm only
Yeah.
running 3 games during the 2.5 days, and I'm playing in 2 or 3 games
I,
during
I,
the
I,
same time frame.
I used to run games at cons back in the day, and I honestly can't even, uh, unless it was for like people I'm already gaming with.
Hmm.
No freaking strangers. I'm not doing that. Just
Oh,
no.
I love it, but there, after so many times, I mean, I'm starting to see more and more familiar faces. I've had players return to my table from 2 or 3 conventions ago, or I've seen them 3 times already that year, and it's
Well,
like
I
I get a
imagine,
lot of repeat
they're
players. Yeah.
also like regulars on your channel, right?
No, there are people I ran into at conventions, and we're all going to like the same 4 or 5 conventions every year.
Huh.
The first the first in-person convention I went to was ShireCon in Connecticut. I live in New York. It was only like an hour away from me. I went there. I met Tom Wilson, who does a lot of writing for Shadow Dark. He does a lot of stuff set in the Hyborian Age, Shadow Dark. There I met for the first time one of my former players from my D&D, Beck Me campaign
Hmm.
that he played in my game for like 10 months. And then I ran into him there, and I was like, wow, we finally meet in person, and you're only like an hour away. And then he's from Massachusetts, and he's like, hey, I run a convention too, and he was like, oh, I'm inviting you to come on up. So I was like, awesome. So that's Rising Phoenix, and I've been to 4 of those already. All right. And that's
Nice.
my every April I'm going to Rising Phoenix. It's a great convention. It's about 800 people, and it's in a
Really
great hotel. It's in a DoubleTree hotel, so you know, all the amenities and everything are right there. Good food, good rooms.
hmm
Walk down the stairs when you're in the gaming areas. Good sized,
nice.
gaming areas and everything. It's so good, and that's always on my list. I'll go there every single year, unless I replace it with another one that I've been dying to go to, but those are always like far flung, you know.
hmm
But I got to see. I got to see when WizardCon is going to be. Now that's up in Michigan. All right, so that's like a 13-hour drive for me. So I'll see.
Is that one of those cons that travels? Because
No,
I could have swore I was at a Wizard Con
he
in
had to
Long Beach.
change its location because for some reason, like in Michigan, and I haven't gotten the full story what happened. It wasn't the venue and it wasn't him that pushed the convention off by months. It might have been that shooting that was in Michigan. And, like when they were doing that manhunt for that shooter or whatever, and that might have been, I don't know. There
I
was
never
something
heard of
that
it.
happened. There was something that happened in Michigan around the time of that convention that made the convention, the hotel and him and I think they were told you can't have this convention this week, you know, um, and they shut the whole thing down. So I don't know. There was some kind of an outside event that
That
made
had to
them
be
move it.
devastating financially, etc. Right?
Yeah, for both, but they shifted it to October instead of them. Um, so we'll see. We'll see what I'm doing in October. Probably not because I'll have to wait till he moves it back to some other time of the year.
Yeah, I can't even imagine. I mean, you know, while the hotel might comp you for the next weekend or something like that, all your paid participants, they can't reschedule a whole nother week. You know what I mean?
Yeah, James, I only got conflu once, and that was when I went to Page Two. That was like 1,800 people. It was a big, big convention, and everybody got conflu there. I mean, I came home with flu A. So I was sick for like 10 days after, and my wife and kids were pissed, because I lost work when I came back too. I had to recover, so I lost that whole week of work following the convention. And so it was like, all right, so you went off to this convention, you came back, and you took the 5 days off for the convention, and then you lost another, 7 to 10 days when I was sick, and that pretty much killed going to big cons for me. My wife was like, "Nope, you are not going to a big con." So to get back to your question, James's question, how do I avoid it? Um, I avoid it by I don't overstay, so I only go for the days that I have to be there, and then I leave. So I only stay for 2 nights at most. Never three, never. And I just brought like a drop cloth to put over a table, so when I go and set up my table or whatever, I have an extra, like a 3x3 cloth that I'll put out down on top of the table, and then that's where I put my stuff onto it, so that I'm only touching my cloth, and so that's what I'll do. I do the hand sanitizer, washing hands pretty much. The last couple of conventions I've gone to, the only thing I get the sore throat from talking so much, which is another reason why I don't want to run as many games anymore. I
Well,
want to
yeah,
just go as a
and that
player.
that can actually, the sore throaty thing can actually open up
Yeah,
uh, ways for the germs to get in you. So
yeah. So and then I run. My running policy is different too. So I'll never run a game the first session of a morning. that I arrive. I'll always
Mhm.
start off as a player, and my last session before I leave, I'm leaving as a player, and every all of my running is going to be in between. So that way I'm not coming home having blown out my vocal cords. You know, by the time I walk in the house with my wife there, waiting to see how sick I am when I get back. I'm also a lot healthier from 6 months ago.
Really?
So, which is why this is my lunch.
Peanut butter isn't as healthy as we've been led to believe, but at least you got the
Well,
carrots in there.
yeah, carrot, celery, and peanut butter for protein. It's it's not the least worst lunch I've ever had.
Hmm. Actually, sounds really good, but I'm just cutting out lunch altogether because I know later on in the day I'll do something that I'll have something whether it's like some bread or something like that that
Yeah.
I
But
shouldn't.
if I don't, when I'm about to leave for work in like 5 minutes, when I get to the job, sometimes they'll have like a whole layout in the cafeteria. And half the times I was like, I don't want to touch that shit. It's like
Mhm.
they don't eat the healthiest stuff. And suddenly I have like an aversion to Chinese food. So even when they do Chinese, I'm like, oh, I can't eat Chinese food anymore for whatever reason.
Mm.
But if they have like rice and beans and that kind of stuff, oh, I'm dead. I eat that stuff like crazy. If
Mexican
they have,
food,
yeah, if they have rice with the black beans, I fill it up into a coffee
tortilla.
cup kind of container, and
Oh,
I just eat that, spoon that in. That becomes my dinner. So, and I drink too much coffee when I'm there.
yeah, that's not good. That's not good, especially on an empty stomach. I found.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, no, I usually
Really,
that's
really good.
so that's why I eat before I go.
Yeah. Gamers Health is a sound topic. Go see Tenkar's Gamers
Yeah.
Health on Saturdays at
Yeah, I'll be seeing Eric at CNY as well.
another guy I got to meet. Been friends with him since 2020, and
Mm.
one of these days just gotta hang out with him. I told him I'd buy him a beer. I don't know if they do that
Mm-hmm.
at CFI.
They have a nice bar there.
Really? Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Plants and animals. I just try to eat things my grandma would recognize. Yeah, I like I said at the
Mm.
beginning of the show, I've been watching a lot of videos on the Great Depression and how people used to live and stretch a dollar and eat better and cook better and all that stuff. And
Oh, that's how my mother-in-law used to cook like that. She used to eat. She was Sicilian, so she used to eat verdura, which is like freaking. I forget what it's actually. It's some kind of a chicory root, but
okay,
just boiled down to nothing.
mhm.
And then she used to eat that. I was like, oh my god, it's
Yeah, that,
horrible.
believe it or not, roasted chicory they would chop that up and grind it up and mix it in with their coffee to
Hmm.
stretch their coffee during the what do they call it during World War II, the
Hmm.
rationing, because you get 1 pound of coffee a month.
Hmm.
And if you used it regularly, even 1 cup a day, it would be out in 3 weeks. So they would grind up chicory in it, and it would stretch it out to the point where they could actually have a little bit left over at the end of the month.
That's
And
interesting.
by doing that, that's how the black market started for coffee,
Yeah.
because people would end up with extra, knowing they're going to get another supply at the beginning of the month. And if they measured it out just right, they could, selling a pound of coffee would be like a windfall of like $250 in today's money. And when you're living paycheck to paycheck, scrimping and saving, got the victory garden because you have to, kind of mentality. That's a big deal. It's something. Hopefully, we can get up. Uh, more people doing that, having their own little garden in the backyard. You'd be amazed how much money you save and how much better the food tastes.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm looking forward to us actually meeting someplace, maybe someplace in the middle. I don't know what conventions are in the middle.
Hmm.
Probably Wisconsin is probably in between the two of us, right?
Hmm. Yeah. Well, as you might remember, I'm going to be hosting a con in Texas. Uh, I want it to be kind of near ReaperCon,
Hmm.
uh, so that maybe people go to my con before ReaperCon or my con after ReaperCon, uh, so that they could actually, spend
Are you
more time.
gonna raise the ire of at least one convention organizer who thinks that it's incumbent upon everyone to look at and to see, well, I don't want to be the week before, the week after, or the same week as any other convention in the entire freaking country. And it's like,
Yeah, I don't know who you're talking about, but
no, I'm not gonna mention, but it's
the
like,
last time I checked, it was a free country, and the
yeah,
great state of Texas
yeah,
probably doesn't.
it's like
Uh,
that was one of the criticisms of WizardCon for the week that it was on, was because it interfered with some other conventions that were going on around the same time. It's like, well, that's all the way up in Michigan, and you can't worry
right,
about what's happening in Texas for Michigan convention.
right.
And they weren't even the same week. But it was like you're on opposite sides of the country. You know, no one is worrying about, oh well, I got to be in Texas this week, and next month I have to be in Michigan. It's like they're going to go to one or the other. The only time that people go to cons that I think that are like back to back cons are when they're all local.
Hmm. Hmm.
Like I have my con this Saturday is 7 minutes away. My
Hmm.
con, the final, the following weekend is 2 hours and a half away. You know, that's certainly doable. It's like,
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely. And here on the West Coast, we've got conventions, all over the area.
right,
California, New Mexico, uh, Arizona, Nevada. Uh, Good luck, telling people, you can't do that.
right.
Um, uh, Still going to do it. And with the dream of
Mm,
hopefully someday moving to be a permanent resident of Texas, they better get used to it. You know, uh,
right.
that idea of monopolies and things like that. Uh, Not a fan. You
Yeah.
know, sure you may have earned it, but it doesn't give you the right to prevent other people from trying to do their own thing as well.
Oh yeah. No, it was just it was a very bizarre thought to think, and self-serving one was like, oh no, you can't have a con the same time I'm having a con, or even though you're in totally different states, and all you have to worry about
Once
for that.
once
And
upon a
I said
time.
to the person too, I said, we run into the same thing when we're running our YouTube channels, right? And you do like your live streams and everything. You're in the morning, all
Mhm.
right? You're not really running into any issues with running in the morning because virtually no one runs, live streams in the morning. Maybe James does once in a while, but
Mhm.
usually yours are a lot earlier than his or whatnot. But I was like, listen, when I'm looking to do a live stream, I do a live stream on Sunday. I've been doing live streams on Sunday for forever, right?
Same with
For
my
as long as
Saturday.
I've been doing live streams.
I've been doing
And
my Saturday stream for about 4 years. Same
yeah,
time,
so
four
it's
years.
like
I'm
if
gonna keep
somebody
doing
else
it.
is going to do a live stream on the same day that I'm like, and some of these other channels, they do live streams like 5 days a week. It's like I got to use it to prime time myself. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
Mhm.
so I'm not going to worry so much about someone who's running their, their live streams 4 or 5 times a week and worrying about my once a week is going to step on their toes. No, it's like, I'm not going to worry so much about it. As much as I might like their channels or whatever, and
Mhm.
I'm even a subscriber, or even a member of some of their
Right.
channels. It's like, but if I'm running a live stream, I'm going to run a live stream on that day.
Well, not to mention, if you're monetized, you've got to keep up the hours.
Well, you
You've
don't
got
have
to
to know.
have.
Once you're monetized, you don't have to keep up the hours. It's not unless you're like those people that have like 200,000 subscribers, and they have to. But there'll
I
never be
thought
a
I,
point
I thought
where.
Janet was having problems staying monetized because of the dips in the 4,000 hour a year minimum.
Oh, I didn't realize that there. I didn't even think that there was
Yeah,
a four
right
thousand a
now
year
we
minimum.
put in the application because we hit the 4,000 hours in a year. We broke 1,000 subscribers. We put in the application for monetization, and it keeps going up and down because like this time last year, I wasn't live streaming as
All
much.
set.
Oh
So
shit!
Let's hit the road.
Sorry.
so so
Uh,
I didn't have my 4,000 hour keeps dropping by like an hour or two, and so I have to reapply until the process goes all the way through. But it sounds like you got to get on the road, brother. Be
well, in a
safe.
second, but let me see. Oh,
Maybe
okay.
James.
I'm not going to have an issue with it because looking at it, I'm averaging a little over 1.2, so 1,200 hours a month.
Oh, yeah, no problem,
Yeah,
no problem at all.
yeah, 1,200 hours
Yeah.
a month.
And then since I started doing the morning live stream, it's greatly increased.
Yeah.
But got to keep that up and keep putting out stuff. I wanted to say one last thing about the monopoly before you go. Back in the old days, like James was saying, people would give a discount if you came from another club, on the same night. It's like, hey, I just came
Mhm.
from this club. Oh, well, you get a discount because you're here now.
Yeah.
Back in the old days, people would just say, hey, give the guy a call and say, "Hey, let's work this out." You know what I mean? Not just try to like, I'm the king of the hill. You can't come up here." You know what I mean? We used to
Yeah.
be gentlemen about these things.
Look at James's thing there, just short of 4,000 hours. Ask
Oh,
Omanal a
now a
question.
question.
I'll put you over, I guess.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
just because I've got, yeah, I'm not. Never mind.
Yeah.
Omenau's great. I don't know what I'd do without him. He's been a good
No.
friend over the
I
years.
used to have these people that used to come on. I think like I believe two of them passed. All right.
Mm.
If you remember L,
Yeah. I was the last person to speak to him.
L used to come on all the time,
Mhm.
always complaining, always attacking, always whatever, but he was always freaking there.
He was
He was,
hysterical. The guy was hysterical.
yeah, yeah. So
Monopoly.
L passed away,
Mhm.
um, and well, obviously Shauner passed away. There was one other person who used to come on all the time, and I heard that he had passed away as well.
You talking about
And
Shadzar?
yeah, Shadazar. Shadazar was another one. He used to come in, used to freaking troll. But he was always there. He was always commenting, always driving up the
I don't know that
algorithm.
Shad passed. I think he just came on really, really hard times. I hope that's better than passing in my book.
Yeah,
L, you know, uh, any one of us can end up in L's position. In a hospital bed, all your family and friends have passed away, and you're just waiting for the sweet release.
yeah.
Any one of us can end up there in a couple of decades or so. So I found it. He was one of us, man. Like him or
Yeah.
hate him, he's still one of us. And
Well, I never hated him. I was just
hopefully,
like, he was just very, always like very negative about everything, Well, maybe, his own life circumstances would make you that way. But no, I'm just saying, like, yeah, Shadowstar, I don't know. I could have sworn I heard that he passed.
if anybody would know, I think it would be Bruce Lombardo,
Yeah.
or there was somebody else who knew him really well. I think I don't know. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, James. He was hysterical.
Yeah.
Off camera, I'll tell you something he said once that was just I'll never forget, and other people won't either, but for completely different reasons. And Shauner, speaking of which, his anniversary of his passing is coming up, and if you want to do something, go out and buy a copy of his book.
I already
Uh,
have it.
Role playing the hard way. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Jackie and I and Max Liao are mentioned in it, and I want to do something to see that his sisters actually get the money because all the sales for all the books he never saw a penny, and
Really?
Amazon is still making money off the sales of his books. Not a lot, but
Yeah.
not one time has ever been paid out for those books.
Really? Oh, that's a shame. All right, let me run. Good
Take
seeing
care,
you.
man. I will see you later tonight. Have a safe
Later
travel.
tonight. Take it easy.
Yeah, L was he was a curmudgeon, but he was one of us, and if we keep talking about these guys and remember them, we can learn still from them. I try to read Lord of the Rings every year and bail out whenever I get to the Tom Bombadil parts. I haven't read the Lord of the Rings in quite a while, and I don't think I will for an even longer period of time. Just because I've read it like 20 times. I could think of 20 books I'd rather read right now if I could just sit down and like if I was on a beach somewhere on a vacation with no internet, and I could bring a stack of books, which I would love to do. But you guys wouldn't recognize me when I came back because I'd be burnt. But yeah, there's the list of books, or the stack of books on my bedside table has been whittled down a little bit, but I keep putting game books to review and stuff on top of those. And at the moment, I have one game book left to review uh, before I run out, and I have none on the way or coming or anything like that. So maybe I'll bring back the book club. I haven't read it since I was a kid. I'll revisit it before we crack the War of the Ring. Maybe it's you know it's one of the one of the reasons we have this hobby. One of the reasons we are here can be traced back to the Lord of the Rings, and anybody who can't see that really needs to pull the stick out because all the things they profess to love in this hobby can be traced in part to that. And I really can't think of anything that can claim as big a chunk of the influence as the Lord of the Rings. Uh, I don't know that we could ever get a breakdown, from Arneson or Gygax, but I would bet 33% minimum. You know, my sad admission is I find it a lot harder to read fiction than nonfiction nowadays. Okay, I don't read too much nonfiction because I get that all from the internet by just listening to like the Depression era videos and things like that I've been watching, as opposed to I have a row of nonfiction right here, but I can't remember the last time I pulled out one of them. Most of them are technical manuals and survival guides and things like that, and you know. I have Dragonlance on my shelf, and I know it's probably cheesy to you, old heads, but I love that too. I never read anything Dragonlance other than the hardcover Dragonlance book for AD&D, and I really didn't see all that much in it that grabbed me. That was like, oh, I'm going to put this in my world. And just I'll probably go back over it one of these days and give it another look because it's been decades since I looked at it. Um, oh, geez, yeah, easy 20 years since I looked at it. The same with the Greyhawk book, and there's another book in that series. They're behind another stack of books that I'm not going to get to until after the show. So I don't know. I think I'm gonna hit the road, folks. I do have a couple of things I got to get take care of before the graduation. Uh, actually, that's tomorrow. Before dinner. The first two Dragonlance trilogies are great. The second trilogy is especially good. Everything else is pretty mediocre. So now comes a segment where we pick up on Shadow's recent mention of the American War of Independence and encourage him to start painting military miniatures. I don't own any. I, I want to say I used to own some Airfix Revolutionary War miniatures, but I may be wrong about that. I know I own some. I own the set, the Marines landing at Iwo Jima, and the Japanese, and Robin Hood, and the Apollo moon landing. Other than that, I couldn't be 100% on historical figs that I own. Take care, James. Everybody else out there in TV land watching still, I'll be back tomorrow with the usual 10-15 minute video in the morning, and then more of this nonsense. Have yourselves a great week. Get some exercise, fresh air, touch grass. Love you guys. Happy trails.